man's best friend. A man's best friend, dogs are called, as they will always stay by your side. People love to have a small furry companion and add new additions to their families. The cute little guys end up with a loving family to call their own.
But what about the dogs that aren't as lucky? Not every pet from the litter gets adopted. So where do they go?
The shelter. That's where they go. But unfortunately, in today's society, shelter dogs are not taken care of and given the love they deserve. Instead, they're seen as a nuisance, a problem needed to be taken care of.
Many shelters mistreat the dogs they have in their possession, from lack of food and water to poor living conditions with no social interactions. One shelter was even given the nickname the House of Horrors.
Although we were not able to get an interview with one of these employees, we were able to discover an account written by Joaquin Phoenix, a journalist from the Animal Liberation Front visiting one of these shelters. A small sample of this journalist's experience was saved, and I want Graceland to recite it to you all.
I entered the building, and one of the workers accompanied me to the holding area. This is where dogs are kept before they're allowed up for adoption, if they're allowed up for adoption. If the dogs are found to be aggressive in any way, euthanasia is employed. Fortunately, if fortunately is the word to be used here, in this establishment, they use lethal injection, not a gas chamber. The shelter worker led me past a big steel door that says, "Employees only." "What's in there?" I asked. From the look that he gave me, I knew that this is where dogs go in and never return. We moved on to a row of kennels. The dogs were barking very loudly, and there was the acrid smell of urine and feces, and a feeling of despair seemed to permeate the room. "Go ahead," the worker said. "They're all yours."
The encounter described by Joaquin describes the reality of some shelters that many of us are afraid to accept.
In the chart shown behind me, 44% of the animals in shelters are euthanized each year. That's roughly 3 to 4 million animals killed, in America alone.
Now, if y'all have any sense, you must know that the treatment of these dogs are wrong, very wrong, and you aren't alone in believing so. I was able to interview Gianna Berger-Bacage, an experienced Humane Society volunteer. The Humane Society chooses to not euthanize dogs and instead provide them with an adequate care and lots of love. Allow me to show you the interview.
Hi, I'm Michaela Campbell, and my friend and I, Graceland, are going to do an English project, and we just want to interview you because we are aware that you work at a shelter with dogs, and we wanted to ask you some questions about how you're treating and stuff. Go for it. Okay. So the first question is, how long, or when dogs are not adopted, what happens to them?
It depends on how long they've been in the shelter. When they first come in, if they're not off right away, it's not a big deal. But after about 30 days, that's when it starts to become stressful for the shelter because they try to do the most they can. So they're constantly getting new puppies and food for everybody else. So if they're not adopted right away or fairly soon, then they're going to foster to the dog program. And that's where like anybody who's interested, you just kind of want to get to know the dog first, they can take the dog in for a certain amount of time and try to become the perfect match for them. So that's how that works.
How long have you volunteered in
At the Texas Humane Bureaus, it's been about 2.5 years, not awesome years. And at the Austin Animal Center, it's been 6 months.
So do the dogs have to go through a process to get adopted?
Yes. Before they're put up as available for adoption, they go through an intake process. And whenever they go to a shelter, they have to start it all over again, pretty much. And they get a behavioral screening and they get health tests to see if they're suitable to be in a household, or like if they can be with kids and other animals like cats and stuff, how they behave with them. So after that, if they're approved and they're satisfactory, I guess, then they're available for adoption. Once they're available, anybody can say, "Oh, I'm interested and I want to adopt," and then we'll go through a background check and make sure they don't have any animal abuse history, and if they have other dogs in the house, and we'll ask them a whole bunch of survey questions to see if they're suitable.
So what happens to the dogs if they don't qualify for adoption?
So if they don't qualify, like there's a thing called like malicious dog, it doesn't necessarily mean that the dog itself is bad. And somebody's reported them because maybe they really like the dog or something, and then they're put on a behavior block. And veterinarians monitor the dog and they see, is this really a thing, or is the dog just so sad or something? And they'll stay back at intake, which is a whole secret, usually it's a separate building or way up in the facility. And they'll just keep watching them, and if they don't get better, then they're bounced across shelters, and sometimes they're euthanized.
Do you have any personal connections to the euthanization process?
Definitely. My parents are very supportive of me volunteering at different shelters, just because they know that it's something that definitely means a lot to me. And at one point we had 11 dogs in our house. All of which were foster dogs, except for one, which is our family dog, which we love very much. But we fostered puppies, and most recently we have a senior dog. And his name is Duke. We've had him for about 4 days now. And I'm already obsessed with him. I don't want to give him up when the time comes. But he is, I think, 10 years. We're not really sure because he's been in the shelter for so long. And he's been a stray. But he's about 10 years old. He's got arthritis. He's got an old man block. And his hair is falling out, which is really sad. It's really painful to see. So we decided that we would take him in because he was supposed to be euthanized. Actually, I think it was today. He was supposed to be euthanized. So we're like, oh, we can't let this happen. Because Rachel's thinking about it, but so we're going to keep him until he gets better. And then we're going to be foster failures for one. We're going to keep him forever, but I'm excited. It's good to get one of them saved.
Well, those are the questions that we have, so thank you.
You're welcome.
The interview shown emphasizes how every dog's life matters. It would be inhumane and not morally correct.
Some may argue that the euthanization of dogs is necessary in order to make room for new dogs and conserve supplies.
However, if shelters were to work together efficiently, they would be able to make room for all dogs instead of just putting them down.
With your help, we can spread awareness of dog mistreatment in shelters everywhere. 1 step for mankind, 4 steps for canines.
Okay, so